What's going on, people? Welcome to 137 Works, and today I have an updated 2018 final kind of definitive drifting guide setup video thing for Assetto Corsa on the PC. Basically, I made a setup video for the wheel a long time ago, about 2 or 3 years ago now, and it's kind of outdated. I've updated some things and made some changes since then, and I thought I'd show them off, as well as a few other bits and bobs. Actually, I'm going to do like a comprehensive kind of whole look at Assetto Corsa now that it's pretty much done and finished, and they're moving on to ACC, or Assetto Corsa Competition, whatever it is. So basically, I'm just going to go over some websites, the setup for the wheel, the cars and tracks, a program or two that you might want to look into, server tips for getting minimizing your lag in the servers, and then just like bits and pieces like that. So it'll all be timestamped. I'll do like a section A, section B, that kind of thing in the description if you want to skip to a specific thing. So say if you're only here for the wheel setup, you can just skip that right now after this, and then just, yeah, please do leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new here. Thanks for watching, and goodbye. Okay, so basically we're starting off with the fundamental idea that you have everything set up, you haven't had any trouble so far just plugging everything in and setting everything up. If you have the shifter, if you bought the separate shifter for your G920, all your wheel to your desk or your setup or whatever it all is. Yeah, so we're just basically presuming now that you just need to get started, you have everything set up, so let's go from that basis. If you've had any troubles up until this point, I can only offer the usual kind of generic advice of try plugging them back in, plugging it back out, but again, what we're about to do here should potentially solve any problems. So, you got your wheel set up, what you want to do is go over to the Google Arena, Logitech, this is the second take, so you can see that I've already looked it up there. Any combination of Logitech G920 gaming software, Logitech gaming software, LGS G920, any combination of those should do. So Logitech G920 tech support on the first result basically. Choose your poison, whichever one is appropriate to you. You can have a look here at any updates or whatever like that you want to look through. Obviously your version, and then just download it. The same as any other program that you install, just follow it through. Yes, accept. As far as I know, Logitech aren't up to anything nefarious. Don't hang me if they are. I'm just saying, by and large, from what I've seen, it works fine. So basically, once it's all installed, it should be in your start menu. So if we just scroll down to L, where is it? Logitech, and it should be there. So if it's not in your start tray already, just click it from there, and that'll open it up. And it should look like this. I've also got G920 or G502, sorry, Proteus Core mouse, so I've got that there as well. But down the bottom left here, you should see the picture of the actual wheel itself, and obviously the icon for whatever you have. If you don't have the pedals, if you have a different pedal set, obviously these won't show up. If you haven't got the separate shifter, they won't show up in there, obviously. But basically, I've got them all. So if you have this similar setup, that's what it should look like. So yeah, basically, that's it. So now you've got it all installed. In theory now, you're all good to go. You've got the drivers that you need. You've got the program. Everything should be working. You can make sure everything is up to date just by clicking the little wheel icon down there, clicking on your thing, and then pressing, or G920, clicking on your wheel, and pressing update. Mine was up to date. I checked it obviously in the last take as well, just to be sure. But if you want to check out any of these settings here, no real reason to, but basically, that's what I'm working with. The important bits are the wheel itself. If you click on this, you see them shining. The default profile, from what I can see, works perfectly. In the older versions of Assetto Corsa, there was kind of different issues. You'd have to have different presets and like kind of different keys bound and everything. It seems to work fine now with the program that I'm going to talk about later. But basically, the essential setup is that everything should just be default by just whatever comes out of the box. The wheel here, 270. I was playing Forza last night, so that's why you want it on 900 degrees for Assetto Corsa. Enable center and spring off, and then obviously whatever, because it's off, that doesn't matter. So you just don't want any center and spring force in games. And the sensitivity, 50% for nice, smooth, even, not too fast, not too slow rotation of the wheel. Basically the essentials. Don't need to touch anything else. That's you set up now with the Logitech gaming software. So that's the wheel itself. Let's move on to the next bit. Okay, so in chapter 2, we are going to have a look at the most essential part of this whole video. It's absolutely crucial. Nothing else in the video is going to make any sense, or you'll hardly be able to follow it along, is get Assetto Corsa Content Manager. So I'm going to, again, return to our trusty Google. AC will do. AC Content Manager. There you go. You see I've already had a look at it. Top result here. I wouldn't be bothering with anything else. You never know. But top result here, AssettoCorsa.club/content manager, and here's the landing page. Basically, it's just a way of launching the game, but it's got like infinite possibilities compared to the actual base game. The actual menu system of the actual Assetto Corsa in game is pretty poor. Like, there's not a whole load of options or customization, and it's just not a very pleasant place to be, in my opinion. So content manager is an absolute essential. Everybody that knows about it and that has gotten it just agrees it's absolutely fantastic. So you can find out some information on the page here if you want, but basically scroll down to the very end and you'll see download content manager, content light version. I would personally say I just 100% have to give back in here, it's worth whatever amount they transfer any amount of money. So you can transfer them like 2 quid, 3 quid. I can't remember. I think I might have sent them like €3 at the time or something like that. I think that might have been the minimum. But any amount of money, and basically, yeah, you'll get the full version. The light version has some restrictions. Yeah, so you can see there that there's like light version has restricted access to new features such as online mode or content manager mode. I think what that means is that it's not that you can't play online. It's just like you might not have as many options and that kind of thing as far as customization of your online experience maybe. But basically, yeah, just if you can afford it, obviously, please do grab this. Support these. It's a fantastic program. It's been a lifesaver, a game changer. Assetto Corsa, for example, the base game launcher doesn't actually load up the game. You cannot play Assetto Corsa if you've got more than, I think it's like 550 mods, either car mods or mods in general. But basically, I have like 700 mods or so. But essentially, the base game, if I was to try and launch Assetto Corsa through Steam, it will not load. The game gets stuck in populating favorites and it just doesn't load. Content manager is literally essential with a lot of, or if you want to own a lot of mods, basically. So yeah, you download it, same thing again with any exe, download it, your thing might pop up saying it's dodgy. Trust me, trust the community, it's fine. Download it all, install it all, and then again you can get rid of Google. I have mine here. That's basically it. Once it's all well, yeah, obviously yours won't be there. Same thing again, it should be in the start menu or content manager. Yeah, so under C on content manager, or you can find it in wherever you downloaded it and installed it to. Alright, so now you have it installed, everything's all done, you're good to go. You launch the program from wherever it may be. For me, I just pinned it to my start program, but if not, it should be under C for content manager, or wherever you installed it, you can go there manually and load it up essentially. So what you're looking at here is basically all you'll need. But first of all, we're going to obviously go into the settings and have a look at just the general settings that I use. For content manager, you can essentially just copy down what I have here. I'm not going to go through each one and what they do and why it's important. Appearance is obviously personal. Content, again, you can go through and pause the video anywhere here. Custom showroom, drive, generic mods. Again, I don't even bother with most of this stuff on a day-to-day basis, but just in case there's something that I did change back when I first got it and I forgot, maybe there's something that's just not springing at the top of my mind that I did change, and you can have a look through here and just copy it down and you'll have the same experience that I'm having, which is fine. Again, these plugins you don't need, but if you have a specific thing where that you need to do within the program, once you've learned it, this is an easy way to install some plugins that you might want. Quick switches. I personally, again, this is like basically quick things that you can do. If you press right click, they show up here. I personally always have hide arms because I play in VR and I don't like seeing, like, a lot of the animations for arms and mods and that kind of thing aren't great when you're turning the wheel, so I personally just hide them. But again, that's a personal thing, so you can go through and mess with them as you like. Replays, again, replay quality if you want, like for me recording my videos and that kind of thing. My montages, I like to have it maximum quality, maximum size, but again, personal preference. Sharing and web, so they're the basic. Pause those as I said and go through. So again, same idea here. I don't ever mess with these. These are just apps. These are like mods that you can install, like so Gmeet or Sidekick, which are kind of essential things. FFB clip, I'll be going through those later on in the video. But then you got your video settings. Obviously, again, highly personal, highly dependent on what your system is, what you're running essentially. But for me, obviously, I play in the Oculus Rift. These are the settings that I use. If you also play in the Oculus Rift and happen to have an Nvidia Strix 970 and 3570K overclocked, if you happen to have that set up, these should work well for you. So then again, view and UI, just copy these down if you want to just get a decent starting point is what I'm going for here. Audio, obviously yours will vary depending on what output settings that you use. The controls then, we will do that again when we'll come back to this at the end when we're setting up the wheel to actually get going. Yeah, miscellaneous, system information, chase camera, again, not massive problem here. You can change your chase camera settings if you wanted. Damage displayer, if you want your damage displayer, you can change the settings to that one. Presets per mode, and then apps is just like if you want to actually get into the, I think it's if you want to get into like the programming aspect of the apps, I think it is. So other important settings or other important tabs are your content tabs. Basically, cars, tracks, showrooms, miscellaneous, mods, tools, mod shop. Basically, these are where you're going to be, if you're going to be installing mods or like updating previews and that kind of thing, you'll be looking through these menus here. The only important bits to know really are that you can search up here in this box. You can press this button down here. So say if I have, okay, so I do actually, this is a great example. So the Porsche 918 Spider, if I want to click on that for some reason, you can press this little button down here and I'll bring you straight to that car. So that's kind of handy. Yeah, basically the delete card button down here, CM showroom, or bring it up into like a showroom where you can look at it and take screenshots. Here's your skin selection up here. You can have a look through the skins. Yeah, that's basically, it's kind of straightforward. If you want to edit any information, this is all editable and savable by pressing the save button down there once you make a change. But yeah, you get the kind of gist. You just scroll through some of these, like, and this is where you keep all your cards. As you can see here, 697 cards. Every now and again I do a clean sweep where I get rid of a load of the cards that are no good or kind of out of date or whatever like that. Like some of that, like RX-7, I think might be one of those, for example. Same idea with the tracks. You can fix any problems like these here. These not showing up. This specific one has a problem with that, but you can press update outline. There's basically nothing that you can't do in this program. Essentially, like you can go in, you can update. Like if your track doesn't have an outline like this, as I said, you can press update outline. You can change the background picture, make your background pictures custom. One of the things that I like to do is I like to have uniformity. You can see here that pretty much, unless it kind of messes me about here and like makes it show me, you can see that all my cars have the same preview, no matter where they came from. That's basically painstakingly over time going into each car and pressing update the previews, presets, and kunos. That's essentially the gist of that. That's why all my things are the exact same. Everybody's different, but just if you like the uniformity of having it be kind of like that Lamborghini, for example, isn't. So I can show you for example now. Presets, press kunos, and then it'll just cycle through, update them, and bring it into line with the rest of the car's previews essentially. So that's just something I like to do for my kind of OCD, having everything the same. So you can see it now, it fits in better. So then your media is your screenshots and your replays. Obviously it auto saves replays, you can keep them afterwards. So yeah, after your last game it auto saves your replay, and you can choose to keep it or delete it obviously down here, or play it, or your screenshots you can flick through and view them obviously. Then you have your results and your lap times and all that. I don't really mess with them too much, so I don't worry about those. So we come back to the drive tab here, and basically this is where you'll set up. If you're just doing drifting offline, if you're just playing by yourself and you want to just do laps and laps and laps, you want practice with penalties off, start from the pits, ballast and restrictor at 0, ideal conditions I guess, or you can do real conditions and it'll match up your time and everything like that to your real like system settings, which is pretty cool, your window settings like. But ideal conditions if you just want the maximum grip and that kind of thing, which you can mess around with that. Car specific controls I used to use, but it seems like to be not necessary anymore. It seems to adjust them on a car by car basis now itself, which is handy. The tire blankets you want, yes, you just want your tires fully warm as soon as you start up. The settings, your I can't remember off the top, yeah, your assists. So Pro is no assists on, and you can click this little tab here to make sure that everything's correct. So for drifting, you don't want automatic shifting, you don't want auto blip, you don't want automatic clutch or ideal line, you don't want ABS. Well, you could, I guess in theory if you wanted to, but obviously you want traction control off, stability control off, mechanical damage 0 if you don't want to deal with that, slipstream effect even 1, tire wear 0, fuel consumption 0, and basically you can say that preset as Pro or whatever like that, and then that'll be your settings basically. So you're no traction control essentially. Then you've got your presets here. You can save, you can like create a preset here like that's drift, and but the only problem with these is that it'll save the specific car and track. I wish they wouldn't do that. I wish they just save the settings and not the car and track. But it's also kind of handy if you want to have specific settings where it's like, oh, I feel like driving my S15 on Mayhem today. That's handy. Again, you can see all these things that pop up here. Not really super important, but then again, you go through it, you've got hot lap, time attack, race, track day, weekend, drift, if maybe it has a points mode or something like that, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, you can see that that's the general gist of it, and if you want to race, you just set up your car, set up your track, and press go, and then you're good to go, essentially. But yeah, that's basically the gist of Content Manager. I'm going to go on to now to set chapter 3, which will be your wheel settings, basically, the G920 wheel settings for Assetto Corsa. Alright, here we are in the control section of Content Manager. It's more or less the same, I believe, in the actual game itself, but obviously we're presuming that you've downloaded Content Manager and that's what you're using. So basically, starting over at the right, you just want to make sure everything's recognized. So your Logitech G920 with all the buttons, you can move the axis, steer the wheel, change the gear, put the gears in, press the pedals, just make sure everything's calibrated. If not, again, we're going to go through everything, so don't worry about it. I've got my Xbox One controller plugged in as well, so that's that. And then the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro, which is obviously my handbrake, which is on the floor, so I can't pull that and check that. But essentially, straightforward. You basically can, I don't know, can you do built-in presets? Yeah, so you want to start off with built-in presets and then go to Logitech G920 with the shifter. That's your basic starting point, so do that first, get that out of the way. And then once that's all done, you should just basically click on whichever corresponding one that you want. So for example, the throttle, gas pedal, press it, wait for input, push the pedal. You want to press invert. It's a specific thing with Logitech wheels, I don't know why it is, but in basically just the software or the way they're programmed, they're always by default not inverted, and that means the throttle is always pressed for some reason. So you just want to invert the throttle, the brakes, and the clutch, not the steering, obviously that's fine. And then the settings in game, you want to be 900 degrees obviously for your full 900, gamma and scale 100 or 1 and 100. Again, all of these just copy the same settings down, but again, if they're not for whatever reason mapped, just throttle, so throttle, brakes, press the brake, clutch, clutch. And then if you have a separate handbrake, or if you do like pick up one of those Logitech things like off eBay, they're like €20. I highly advise it. It's super useful. But basically, yeah, just pull the direction that you want on that one. Now, the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro specifically can be a bit awkward. So just, you might have some issues with that, but I'll go into that at another stage. Basically, yeah, once you've done all that, you should be good to go as far as the buttons go. Go over to the buttons. Next gear, obviously shift up, right paddle. Previous gear, left paddle. And then your H shifter, check that obviously if you have one. 2, 3, and then so forth. So on and so forth. And then gear, obviously you push down on the stick and pull it to the bottom right. That's basically, if you want, then the next sentence here, you can see that I don't really use any of these too often. The turbo, you can do just with the keyboard by pressing 0, so I don't really mess with that. What else do we have? Gestures, don't worry about those. MGUK, again, if you're doing like super serious Formula 1 stuff where you're balancing your MGUK and all that crap, probably want to assign these, but for the purposes of drifting and with the buttons allowance that we have on a G920, I just don't bother with. But then miscellaneous, you can see I've got button B, which I think, yeah, it's just B on the G920, and then DRS is Y. That's just, I learned that from the Formula 1 games a couple of years ago, so that's how I like it. And then view, glance left is, I think, LSB on the left shoulder B on the G920. Look right, obviously, RSB, and then glance back is button A. Which one is that? Yeah, just literally just the A button. And then change camera is button 8, which is your select button, or what do they call it? Your menu button, maybe? The left middle button, essentially, on the G920. So then over to system, sorry, you have pause race. I just have that set to the start button, obviously. Then these are all, I think these might be default, but if not, again, you can just control an X or X, Y, and Z, for example. Yeah, don't need to worry about those. Overlay related, all these things here, you just copy these down again, not massive issue. But here's the interesting one. So the force feedback. This is personal. This is just the one that at the time I settled on. It seemed to feel the best for me at the time, and it still is never, I've never found an issue with it for me personally. But basically, just as a starting point, see how you like it, start here. I cannot really guide you too much, but you kind of want to do what I have here to start off with. You want soft lock, because that means basically, if, how would you phrase it, like if you're in a Formula 1 car and it's only got 270 degrees of turning angle or whatever it may be, it does that like within the game. You don't have to set any mess with your settings in the Logitech Profiler or the Logitech gaming software. It just does it itself. If the car has 900 degrees as a drift car, it just has, you're automatically got your 900 degrees. It's fine. Enhanced understeer effect, I've never, again, just I couldn't give you the reason. It's been too long now, but that's that. Center boost gain, yeah, post-processing, you can do that. Enable FB processing. So here's something basically that I discovered after making my video, the original video on the G920 Settings. This LUT thing, there's a word for it. I cannot remember for the life of me now, but basically LUT is like, it's like kind of the power curve you can see there that goes along. And there's basically a website, if we once again go back to our trusty Google, that you can, what is it? Assetto Corsa LUT. So on race department here, you can see LUT generator for AC. I'm not going to go into that. That's its own whole separate thing. Just follow the instructions. One wheel check takes you to a link to this download here. Again, that will be included when I leave the link in the description. Just basically follow what they do. It's fairly straightforward. It's basically, it generates a file that's like the power curve for your specific wheel. Obviously, in this case, our G920. And as you can see, it basically just makes it as smooth and natural as possible without any kind of like extra stuff coming into the mix, basically. And I don't know how to explain it better than that, unfortunately. But just, again, the link will be in the description. Just do that. Once you followed all the instructions there, you'll have my LUT.lut. Crazy one, I think it's just, yeah, it's just a crazy example. And like when you turn the wheel, you feel it like feels super bizarre. But yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, that's the main gist of the biggest change. Was I noticed the big difference with the LUT. So that's the main one. So you've got all that. Experimental, I wouldn't go mess with those, obviously experimental, so keep away from them. Okay, so next up is your presets, saving your presets and that kind of thing. So you can save a preset. Once you've done all this now, you can save this preset. So what you do is obviously go in, save your preset, give it a name. I named mine obviously G920 Mr. Titan e-brake in this case. For when I made it, obviously I was using the Mr. Titan mods, the car mods a lot. So that's just, I named it after that because that's what I was using it in the most. But you can just name it anything, G920 Drift or something like that. Basically the difference is between the two, e-brake versus regular one. Except for obviously these changes, these were different settings that I was using back then. But after I got the e-brake, there's two different ways of doing it. If you buy a Logitech or a Flight Stick, or if you buy the actual proper e-brake thing, you can just use your axis here to assign to the handbrake, which is obviously your axis on your device. If you don't have one of those, however, what you can do is go into the buttons, and then, where is it, previous gear, next gear, you can just clear those off, and then somewhere around here is the handbrake. There was a button to be able to specifically press the handbrake, which is escaping me now. But either way, you get the gist. Wherever it may be, it's in there somewhere. I'm not going to spend ages looking for it now. But there's a button that you can press to set the handbrake basically to the paddles, which is obviously the next best thing. So you can change with the gears. Your shifter, and then for pulling the e-brake, obviously pushing the button isn't ideal when you're using 900 degrees. So to be able to have the handbrake, which is kind of big and it goes around the back of the wheel, or the paddle, sorry, which goes around the back of the wheel, it's easily accessible for the most part. And with a bit of fiddling and usage of the Logitech gaming software, like setting the keybind in there, you can actually get both of them to work at once. I never really got it to stick, but I do believe it's possible. So that's basically just the two different options. E-brake, you can set your e-brake to obviously the handbrake, as I said, the Logitech, or just setting it to your paddles, whichever is the most appropriate for you. Just save it as your preset, and then you're pretty much done. That is the current settings, that's the current usage that I have going on. Keybinds, the feedback rates and everything like that. Again, they're not perfect. They're probably they've probably been updated since then, but I play Assetto Corsa all the time, all different cars, all different tracks, and it just feels great to me, so I don't really worry about it too much, and that is basically that. So we move on to the next section. Alright, so now that everything is good to go, obviously we haven't tested anything yet, but in theory everything is set up and you're good to go, you're good to start up the game. You're going to want some content, because obviously if you open up Content Manager, you have obviously your Kunos official content here, as you can denote by the little, I think, what is it, cat up on its hind legs or whatever. But yeah, basically that's and then the different like modding houses have their own like logos and stuff like that. But basically you can, as well, another feature is you can search by Kunos, I think. No, what way do you do? Making me look stupid? Yeah, this is it. When you're selecting a car, you can do it by brands, countries, categories, DLC, like if it's a DLC pack car or whatever. So that's pretty handy. But yeah, so basically, you've got your stuff, you've got the great, fantastic default content, but for drifting, you probably want mods. You're probably going to want to look into some mods. So, websites that I would advise. Essentially, if we do the same thing, go back, open up Google. You can see I've got two bookmark here always, pretty much. Assetto Corsa Drifting Pro and AC Cars, which is on Race Department. So AC Drifting Pro was kind of the gold standard. I don't know if people just aren't uploading as much anymore, or they aren't like keeping super up to date with the website. But as you can see here, it's actually fantastically done. I'll just open them all up. Cars, packs, tracks, tires, tools. Who knows? I haven't checked the tools section in a while. I wonder if there's anything new. But as you can see there, featured items, newly added cars, newly added maps. There's a bunch of content on here. Essentially, you can go through and you can pick and choose any which car that you like, or you can get them as obviously part of car packs. So the most kind of common one that you'll see on most servers at the moment are the DTP, Mr. Titan mod, Drift Workshop, or DW, or whoever they go by, and maybe the VDC. I think, yeah, the VDC competition car. I think they have the full pack. Yeah, Virtual Drift Championship. So you can see there's also like Gorilla Mods, TNT, that's an older one, Kamikaze. There's loads of options here, basically. You can go through, again, the descriptions will be in the link. RTM mod pack actually isn't familiar to me, so 81 cars according to that, so I'll have to look into that on my off time. But yeah, basically that's that. Same thing with tracks. You've got a load of different tracks. There's Ibisu track pack, which somebody's obviously gathered together all the different Ibisu layouts that are available. I'm pretty sure they all are now, except for maybe the school stage. There may be one, I think it's just the school stage that's missing, or the school circuit that's missing. But the Ibisu that you know and love, as well as like little goofy jokey tracks like Yoshi's, like Mario. People rip carts of Mario track, or people have ripped tracks from Mario Kart. Ibisu Togi 2.1. Yeah, so just cool stuff, like loads of different options. So that's another great one for it. And you go to tires, you can download specific tires. There's not a whole great selection here, but pretty much all you really do need is the DMF, D-Spec 3, and basically that's a case of get tires is its own separate thing that I won't get into right now. But again, the cars and the tools, so track cycle for your server, the nighttime weather mod, which I won't get into in this video, but that's a pretty cool thing. You can get, actually, you can get nighttime mods for this game, because it's not in the game by default, unfortunately. But yeah, so that's acdriftingpro.com. Again, links in the description. And then there's the kind of gold standard for cars is Race Department, which is by and large the best site for mods. Now, it's not great for drift cars necessarily. You get loads of great race cars and street cars and track cars and all that. It's brilliant for that, but the race car selection isn't great. It does have plenty of, like you can see here, 9 pages worth of tracks, like the drift tracks. They also have sound mods, skins for cars, career mode mods, apps and stuff like that. They're basically the main two that I'd focus on, but like again, a simple search of Assetto Corsa car mods. A couple of weird sites that you want to keep away from, like there's a Facebook here, Assetto car mods home Facebook. They always redirect you to deposit file links, which I just think is disgraceful. I think it's really stupid. It's a terrible service, very slow, but let them do them. There's also Assetto Corsa database, or Assetto Corsa database, but I've always found that their quality is not the best. You can download a car that may be like highly rated or whatever, but it's still not particularly high quality. It's still a poor quality mod. Like as far as the 3D model goes. Usually is what the problem is, or the physics just might not have been updated. But yeah, basically that would be that. VK, that's not too bad. Assetto Drive is a more recent one that I only came across recently, but it's alright. I don't really know how to use it. It's a very confusing layout, so I wouldn't really go too deep into that one because I don't know enough to speak on it. But yeah, they're the main ones. There was, what was it, Assetto Corsa Land on the Wix website, like create your own website, Wix or whatever. Assetto Corsa Land was brilliant again for race cars mostly, but that got pulled down. Apparently he was uploading mods without permission or something, so that's not ideal. The two basic ones that you need for drifting are definitely AC Drifting Pro and then a race department maybe for tracks. Essentially, Drifting Pro is your one-stop shop for drift stuff, but if you just want some other options, they're the ones that I recommend, and in the case of the Facebook page, the ones that I don't. But there is loads of random private groups on Facebook that you can join where the modders aren't releasing their stuff publicly, and you can only get it by joining the mods requesting, or by joining the groups where you request to get an invite essentially. But you know, that is basically that's one way of doing it, of getting private mods basically. So that's that. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is recommend some apps. So if you go to Assetto Corsa apps, there's all kind of ones that are handy. There's like the likes of the INI and LED pack, Pro Tours and all. The ones that you need for drifting is, the main one is just basically FFB clip, force feedback clip. So if I just Google that, it'll take me straight to the page rather than searching for it. Force feedback clip basically measures your steering wheel. Like when you first load up the game, you open up the app in the top corner and it measures your steering wheel's power, and it kind of adjusts the gain and that kind of thing on the fly until it finds a nice little sweet spot, and then it leaves it at that. And that's for that car, for that mod or whatever, for those tires or whatever, for your wheel. It will give you the best feel basically, in theory, is how it works. And you can see there, how do I use it? You just download it, log into download, and you can see there, it's basically, you essentially just turn it on, put it into, I think it's automatic mode, set it to, there's an option where you can have it to be like dynamic, but you just want it on normal. Turn it on normal mode, and then just you're good to go within like 10-15 seconds of driving. You've got your settings. It's brilliant. So that's force feedback clip. That's the first one. Now I will just mention one quickly, because while I do use VR, there is a very handy tool for when you're sidewards, and it is Realheadmotion. Now again, it takes a bit of work to put together, and that's not the point of this video, so I'm not going to show you how to get it all set up. But essentially, follow the instructions. Not the best, most appealing website visually, but it's like fairly straightforward to put together. Download a program called FreePie, and then basically, yeah, just follow all these instructions. Again, all the links will be in the description. And yeah, it basically, what it does is you can set it up to have the camera turn in sync with your wheel. So as you enter a corner, pull your handbrake, and your wheel starts to counter steer, it will look your camera basically in that direction, which is great obviously for drifting, because it's not ideal when you pull the handbrake up and you're sideways and you can't see where you're going because you're looking directly straight out of the cockpit. Obviously I don't have that problem in VR, being able to literally physically look, but this was a lifesaver before I got my VR headset. Basically, I like the way they start off with biological fact. But yeah, that's basically that. Realheadmotion is pretty much essential if you're going to be drifting in Assetto Corsa. You can see their installation in Assetto Corsa, and it shows you how to do it, as well as the change log. But that's pretty much an essential for me. I would get that one. So force feedback clip and Realheadmotion. And then I think there's one more that I use often enough. Sidekick is handy just for racing, but I'm obviously, we're talking about drifting here, so that's basically shows your gear changes, when you should change gears, your lap data, your revs and all that kind of thing, your speed and also. But yeah, that's not like ideal for, or that's not required basically for now. So that's the websites that you need to get some mods. That is the apps that I recommend. Basically the mod packs, as I said, that I'd recommend, the mods themselves are the DTP cars, I'm trying to think off the top of my head now. Got the cars are pretty good, some of them are pretty decent, some of them aren't great. Fly through quickly if I see any more. There's loads of just individual mods. Which one is my favourite? Where's it gone? The 350Z Faust is probably the best feeling car that I've played in this game, just bar none. It is part of the Formula D pack, so Formula Drift pack, grab that, absolutely. Chris Forsberg at 370Z is in there as well. Christoph Blues's old car as well, I believe, is in there. The SDC cars, they're pretty much a standard. They're basically like the gold standard for servers. They're not the best cars in the world. I've made my own custom variations of them here. So there's the SP mod, as I mentioned earlier, the TNT stuff, Toge Workshop, TW, they've got some good stuff, and then the Drift Workshop. They're the main ones. There's obviously loads of different individual unique cars that I've picked up here and there along the way from groups and whatever, but they'd be the main ones. You'd be set basically good to go with those. As I said, I've 697 cars, so couldn't really be going through them all. Even at that, 218 tracks. I don't know if that's just tracks or track variants and everything like that, but yeah. There you go, you can see there's a lot of good ones. All the Japanese tracks that you ever wanted, Meihan, Abisu, Tsukuba, YZ West, the one that was closed down a couple of years ago as well, the great one, that's one of the first ones I started on. Its name has escaped me now, but like Maze, any of those ones are all great. The Formula Drift Long Beach section is there, it's very good fun. Deceivingly tight first corner, it's amazing how different it looks in real life as opposed to the game. But yeah, the Hoonigan Garage is a new one that came out recently. Yeah, there's some of the just recommendations off the top of my head. So with that said, we will move on to the next stage. Alright, so in the final part, we're going to put all of this theory into practice. We're going to select the car, select the track, set up a practice session, and then get going, basically. So first things first, you always want to check your settings, you make sure everything's right. If you mess up and one of your parts isn't connected, one of your settings, or your wheel or your handbrake or whatever isn't connected, the game will launch and you won't be able to control anything. It'll just be dead. So you just want to make doubly sure that everything is properly set up. So go to controls, axis, press your pedals. And as you can see there, for whatever reason, they are not selected. So I'm just going to reload the program. And then this is exactly why we do it, just to make sure every single time. So I know for a fact that regardless, I do want 900 degrees because it's Assetto Corsa. Alright, just had to fix some issues there. So it all should be working. So throttle, brakes, clutch, handbrake, gears, wheel. Wheel not recognized. Let's go and fix that. Okay, steering wheel. Okay, there we go. For some reason they were all assigned to my handbrake for some strange reason. That is a particular issue with this handbrake. I don't know what that is, but however. Okay, so that's all set up. So you want to go back then to your video and just make sure, like for me personally, I'm going to do this video recording it just flat on the monitor, so I'm going to change it from my VR preset to my monitor preset. Again, the brilliant thing about Assetto Corsa or about Content Manager is being able to save all your presets. So as opposed to like on the VR, you can see that I've got the MSAA only on 4 times. It's the rendering mode of Oculus Rift. Post processing effects is disabled. Here it's enabled. All maximum still 4x, but I'm on the single screen. I'd probably crank it to 8x if I wanted to, but not super worried about that. So we head back over to Drive. It's time to pick a car. For the sake of using a car that you will actually be able to use and get some help out of, I am going to select the Formula Drift Pack Faust car. As I said, it's one of my favourite cars. It's easily accessible. You can find it online. I just find that it handles brilliantly, and I can give you a look at my tune and that kind of thing, so you can just see how it goes. So same thing, you press this little button here, you go through. It takes a second for them to load if you've got a lot, by the way, so don't worry about that. Only a few show up immediately. But again, I'm going to just leave it on Mayhem because that's just what I've been feeling lately. Then we're on practice, as I said, start from the pits, all of these settings, ideal conditions, what we went over there with the Pro, the tire blankets, all the bits and bobs turned off, and then it's pretty much as simple as just pressing go. So hopefully this will all load up and we'll just load up the game for me and we can get started, and I'll meet you over there when the game loads up. Right, so we've loaded up in game. Obviously my hand is, the camera's a little glitched or whatever, but fundamentally we are in the game now. It should be all set up and good to go. I'm going to select, and basically I'm going to show you my tune, but I'm not going to walk you through tuning. I'm just going to show you how this kind of menu works really quickly because it's fairly self-explanatory. All your tracks here will have a folder. I personally just always put them in generic because I just like to have them available for all tracks so I haven't got to a specific one. I can just free scroll all the way to the top and select my tune. So select it, load, and then as you imagine the same thing when you want to save them, you just do all your bits and bobs to your tune, enter in a name and press save, and then if you make any changes it'll ask you to overwrite, just press save again and that'll do that. So here's a look at my tune for this car. Again, I'm not going to walk through tuning. I am not by any means the best tuner in any games, let alone Assetto Corsa, particularly Assetto Corsa I'd imagine, but I can keep up with cars and that kind of thing online. But yeah, you can see here competition 28, 24, 28 in the front, tire pressures 24 in the rear. Fuel, I have it overloaded. I don't know why that's the case, but fuel actually kind of does matter. It adds a bit of weight and it actually does affect how long you can drift for. It absolutely doesn't need to be maxed out at 72, but that's for whatever reason what I have it set at. Turbo 100%. Alignment, why is the alignment so far out of whack? That isn't right. I'm not going to show you how to tune, but I'm going to fix this because this obviously glitched out at some stage. The other bits and bobs are right, but my camber angles are certainly not. I like minus 2.5 in the front and minus 1 in the rear, just as a general rule. And then again, bump and stiffness, I just left. I think they may even be default. I just didn't touch those. I just don't know enough about Assetto Corsa tuning, to be honest, about to be going messing with those. And then height and wheel rate and anti-roll bars and that kind of thing, you can just copy them as they are. And the pit stop strategy even are kind of personal preference or whatever, not really important for what we're doing here, so just going to override that with the angles of the Camberino. And then as you can see, we are in the game now. So on the right hand side we have our like apps and that kind of thing. I'm not going to walk through the game again because it's just what we need for drifting, but you do want to make sure that your Sidekick app is open. So if we go to the left hand side, I believe it is this one here, not Sidekick, sorry, force feedback clip. So force feedback clip, just stick it in the top left, just keep it out of the way. And you'll see as we start driving and doing bits. Okay, so strange. For some reason it had my settings all bound to the flight stick, which is just beyond me. But I went out and just fixed it there during the edit. So hopefully this time, there we go, we're moving. So I'm going to pull it outside the car and just lower the volume a bit. And basically, yeah, so now we're out on track. Make sure nobody's coming. Now I am probably going to be terrible because on one hand I'm concentrating on talking and doing commentary. On the other hand, I'm so used to drifting in VR now, like drifting on the screen or pancake mode as they call it, is something that's gotten... It's not exactly the way that I do things nowadays. So yeah, you can see I was working on the old Pro Drift Academy paint job at one stage. But basically, yeah, so that's all it is. You get in, tune your car, and then it's just all about practice. So again, I'm probably not going to do it here, but it's literally, as I was saying in the comment reply to somebody, I think somebody left a comment on a YouTube video that I made recently, or an older one even. It's all just practice. Like, particularly with Mayhan, you just have to keep throwing it in wrong. You just keep having to hit the wall, keep having to spin out, keep having to go into the tires at the end, at the far side, just going straight through. That's just what you have to do until you get good, essentially. That's all I did. Just hours and hours and hours. Like, probably the first 20, 30 hours easily of drifting in this game was just me spent going backwards into walls. Until I figured out all this stuff that I've actually been showing you in this video, which was all the, like, the LUT and everything. Oh, that's a bit better. Can we keep it? No. Yeah, all those little bits and bobs that I picked up along the way definitely helped out. Obviously more better cars, higher quality cars, V10 tires and that kind of thing coming out helped a whole bunch. The higher quality mods and that kind of thing just helped a whole lot in just making it easier and getting a better understanding of how the cars drive and all. But as you can see here, if I'm not in VR, I'm terrible. If I ever entered a non-VR battle, I would not do well. Trying to keep the revs up and bring it around town. Oh, it's weird how different it is when you're looking at the screen as opposed to actually being in the car. But yeah, that's basically the long and short of it. That's the guide in a nutshell. I've shown you everything that you need to know. You know, like it's not. This isn't a tutorial about drifting specifically. Like, there's not much to it. You pull the handbrake, clutch at the same time, and just counter the steer, and hopefully do better than I just did. Like, that was a totally intentional 360, obviously. But yeah, just practice is the main thing. But I've hoped that I've given you a good starting point, a good kind of base to go off with the cars at the very least, if not the rest of the ideas. And then obviously the importance of content manager and just how essential it is, especially, as I said, if you're gonna have a lot of mods. It's pretty much crucial. It's literally essential. Like, the game just won't run without it, as I said. But yeah, I'm just going to call it quits there pretty much. I really do hope you found it useful. I know it was a long, kind of drawn out video, but I hope the ability to be able to skip between the sections helped and you found what you're looking for. Specifically, I know a lot of people, as I said at the beginning, wanted help with the Logitech G920 in particular with the settings for that, so I hope that helped. But yeah, if you enjoyed it, if it helped, please do leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new here. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.